So, a few quick things about the healing process and psychotherapy. First of all, you do not have to be at rock bottom in order to benefit thoroughly from the healing process and from becoming more self aware through the process of self inquiry. I mean, we all have, I suppose, faulty conditioning that can really hinder us in life. We have beliefs about who we are and who we ought to be, we have beliefs about relationships, we have beliefs about the world, and these can impact heavily on how we feel. And the more aware we are of the existence of these beliefs and these constructs and these narratives, the more likely we are to be able to pull back from some of the painful thinking that we experience and some of the painful emotions that we go through as a consequence of how we feel about ourselves. The more present we can become, the more likely we are to be accepting of where we are, and the more likely we are of creating the life that we actually desire. Secondly, there is no scale that determines whether something is bad enough to warrant therapy or to warrant healing. I mean, ultimately, we would all benefit from a little bit more self awareness, a little bit more self compassion. But people tend to assume that they have to have experienced something really adverse in order to justify going to therapy. Now, the thing is, I mean, trauma is very subjective. It is basically defined by what happens internally as a result of what happens externally. So it is more about the response that your nervous system had to an external event as opposed to the actual event itself. And everybody responds to things differently. It's worth noting as well that sometimes the absence of something happening can be as traumatic as something actually happening. So just say there was something absent in your childhood. This can be highly traumatic, and it's just about exploring what it is that's going on for you that is making you feel that you are inadequate, or that is making you feel unsafe, or that is driving you to maladaptive coping mechanisms, or ultimately leading to your unhappiness. Thirdly, therapy is a lot of work. I mean, ultimately, you're beginning to challenge all of your beliefs, all of your constructs, all of the ways in which you interpret yourself and the world. You're beginning to look at some of the personas that you've created, some of the standards that you have set for your own life and for other people that are just not sustainable, that are completely unrealistic, and also some of the beliefs that you have about yourself. I mean, we tend to be so hard on ourselves. We tend to have this very negative view of ourselves, and frequently we project that view onto others, so it feels like as if other people think the same as we do, and this can be so misleading. It can make life so distressing and so upsetting. Therapy is about learning to pay attention to what is going on internally, to your emotional experiences, to some of the deluded thinking that you may be experiencing that feels so very, very true, but can be so very, very painful. It's about paying attention to what's going on in the body, to bodily sensations, understanding implicit memories that may be having a huge impact on your life at a very subconscious level. And it's about also being able to challenge some of your constructs, being able to challenge some of, I suppose, your thinking that you are so adamant is accurate, but may in fact be very, very misleading. There's a lot of humility involved, there is a lot of commitment involved, and oftentimes people would say to me, well, Jesus, that sounds like a lot of hard work. Is this something that I have to do for a lifetime? And the answer is yes. I mean, the thing is, once you open this Pandora's box, it's not like as if you can stuff all of the awareness that you achieve back in. However, that being said, you are spending so much of your time creating narratives and stories that are so unhelpful and that are possibly causing you a lot of pain and distress, holding yourself to standards that are just unobtainable, creating, I suppose, instances in your relationships that are based on interpretation as opposed to based on reality. So it's recognizing that all you're doing is actually diverting the work that you're already doing. I mean, you're thinking all day anyway. Why not try and think a little bit constructively as opposed to thinking at an automated level, oftentimes in a very negative fashion? If you would like to find out more about this process, then get in touch with me on the website. It is fundamentals.ie.